Mic check, mic check. Hey, what's up, guys? Well, I did it again. I bought another business. So, I know a lot of you are already aware that I'm a dentist, but I don't think you guys are aware of sort of my journey as an entrepreneur as a dentist, buying a business, running it, and then selling it, right? So, the clinic that I just bought is called Image Dental Calgary or YYC. Follow us on Instagram. And my story of getting into dentistry was kind of interesting because there's no dentist in my family. There's nobody who could like show me the ropes. So everything I've done when it came to dentistry, I had to figure out on my own. But there is an old video, I'll try to dig it up, where I was saying when I was about 12 or 13 that I'm going to be the dentist. Now, my mother, who is a first generation immigrant to America, she came to San Francisco, and that's where she grew up. But when she started having a family, like many immigrants, they have a dream for their children, not so much for themselves, which is a whole thing on its own. But she basically lined us all up, and she said, I want a doctor, I want a lawyer, I want a dentist, I want someone who can build me a home. And the funny thing is, she did get that. She did get that. And I fell into the dentist part. It was not a straight road for me to become a dentist. I was working on multiple degrees at the time. It's hard to get into dentistry. It's not like you just decide. You have to have some motivation behind you to really figure it out. Then I graduate, and within about a year and a half, I decided to buy my first practice. Now, this was actually against the advice that I was getting, which was, why don't you just practice for a while and then later on in your career, buy a practice. I bought my first one about a year and a half out. Shout out to the very first dentist I ever worked with. I mean, he was amazing. He gave me tons of experience. He backed me up when I made mistakes. He's just a great guy to work with. But my first practice, it was called Aloha Dental. There was a couple dentists that were good friends, and they started it up. And I transformed it into Aloha Dental. So this is where I practiced for the first 5 to 6 years of my career. And there came a point where, and this is my own fault, this is what I'm like, I get restless. I can see when I'm in need of a challenge. So I did sell that practice eventually because I wanted, not just for me, but for my whole family, I wanted us to challenge ourselves even more. And we ended up moving to Calgary back in 2016. And when I came here, I actually didn't just jump right back into dentistry. I actually took about a year off, and I learned to code. So in 2017, learning to code after being trained as a dentist didn't, like, nobody thought that was a good idea. But it was during that period that I actually discovered Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I actually was able to read the code base and go, oh, okay, so that's what that line means. And that's what this means. But it was because of that I actually became the DeFi dentist, and I understood just how powerful this stuff was going to be in the future, right? I've also had many mistakes. A mistake that I made early on in my career coming here is I tried to partner up with some people, right? And I'm not going to get into names and everything, but like, as soon as you introduce someone else to your vision, if you're not aligned, it's not going to work. And that venture failed. It really did. And it costed me money. It was not some big win, right? And it's only now, after you're out of it and you think it through, you're like, okay, I messed up. And, shout out to the other person. Like, there's no harm, no foul. I mean, I hope things are working out, but I'm not I'm not just like a continual winner. Like I'm okay with the truth that I have failed and I have messed up, and what I thought was going to be the right thing wasn't the right thing. And for a while I kind of almost needed to pump the brakes and just be like, you know what, just kind of get your life organized, right? Because we're in a new city. I didn't know anybody. I have no family here. And over time, I kind of it really started to settle on me like I I want more. I want to do more. So I looked around at starting another practice. I even put in offers for multiple practices. Like buying a dental practice is not easy. You see all this stuff back here? This is all like the paperwork just to buy a business. It's not fun. Like you have to talk with lawyers all the time and they have to get in your head and help you draft documents. Then you got to keep everybody like, into the deal. We got to walk together towards the end point. You got to talk with the bank, insurance. And then even getting into it, you got to transfer everything. It's crazy buying a business. And after I sold in 2016, 2017, you kind of forget about that. It's like trauma. You just kind of bury it and you're like, I'm not going to do that for a while. And so when I got here and bought another business, sold it, I didn't want to think about it for a while. And here I am again, jumping right in. I think in time, you realize what you're about. You realize who you are. And the truth is, like, I like doing dentistry. I don't work every day, but I enjoy it. I enjoy helping people figure out what they're doing. Now, but this time around, it's different because every time I've purchased a business in dentistry, I haven't known anyone coming in. So I was dealing with complete strangers. I had no history with them. The difference with this one is I've been there for about 7 years working with the team. So when the announcement was made that I'm the new owner and that we purchased the business, it wasn't like some big shock. In fact, it was way more natural than any transition I've ever done before. Like, I love this team. We've been doing dentistry together for a while. So walking in was so much more natural. And the previous owner, him and I were both U of S grads. So like we get along. I really like the guy. He actually goes to Hawaii more than I do, which is kind of ironic. I really need to go on a vacation. But now transitioning into this, it's a brand that's been there for 17 years. But again, going back to what I'm like, I can't help but think about it like a startup. Like I can't help but think about this brand and go, yeah, we've been there for 17 years, but how do I recreate the experience? How do I change things from within so that it just gets even better from here? Like a 2.0 version, a next gen version. And so that's what I'm into right now. That's what I'm working on right now. And it's kind of fun because this time I have a much different like mindset, right? Like I just turned 40 and my kids are getting older. Like when you're younger, you take all these risks and you're super comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable like going buck wild with everything. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm super risky, but this time around, like things just feel more stable. So I almost have to introduce this like risk mindset of a startup. But the truth is, not taking risks is actually risky in your business. You have to constantly push to introduce new ideas and to communicate better, to try new things. I've even started a mentorship with Dr. Connolly out of Beverly Hills because, he's taken dentistry and he's absolutely crafted it to become what he wants, right? Such an artist. I did a video about it a long time ago, but I had no idea that I'd eventually be hanging out with him. By the way, one of the best things about it is he's a bodybuilder. He's competing in Mr. Olympia next year, and I cannot wait to go to Gold's Gym with him in SoCal. Like, that's probably more exciting than dentistry, to be honest. But again, talking with other entrepreneurs that I know, like my friend Ben Greff, he just kickstarted Row Dental. I mean, amazing. brand builders. That's the people that I talk with now. And so now it's my turn to figure out how to relaunch, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, a brand that's been around for almost 18 years. What do we do from here, right? And I think this is a common thing that many people go through in their life, in their career, like reinventing yourself, like taking what you got and making it even better. So that's where I am today. The Getting into this business right now, Image Dental Calgary, is extremely fun. So, but I'm doing it different. I'm doing it my way. And so, number one, I'm looking for video creators. I'm looking for content creators out of Calgary or wherever you want to come from, to do collaborations. That's number one. I'll even collaborate with dentists. I don't care. I'll take over your social media. You could take over mine. Dentistry is limiting in some ways because so many of the ways that we are told to think about social media, storytelling, brand, it becomes so like competitive where you actually it gets weird, right? And you like can't even make friends, and then everyone starts like hating each other. So this part of me relaunching this brand is sort of reimagining, like, how do I even retell this story in a way that's fun for me, right? Like, I want to have a good time going through this process and enjoy it because clearly this is what I do. I like doing business. I like taking care of the patients. I like tech. I like working with tech people. I like working with content creators. I've been doing this since I was a kid. I have old videos from the moment I got my hands on a camera. I've always been telling stories. So this is what comes next. And 2025 is going to be wild for me. So I would love to, even the local businesses around where we're at, I mean, I'm literally going to find a way to get into your business and storytell with you. Because the truth is, we're all human and stories are everything, right? I was watching Hustle and Flow last night. Is it Hustle and Flow? Anyway, the season 2, and these rap artists, when they tell their story, man, you could be coming from any city, but if it's from the heart and it's genuine, man, these stories will grip you. And the truth is, every patient I see, every entrepreneur I talk with, every business in my neighborhood, there's an interesting story, but it's often muted by this social media. Oh, you got to say this. No, you don't. You can actually do whatever you want. You can tell your story however you want. And I'm telling you guys right now, I am going to tell the story of this next venture in my life the way I will do it, the way I want to do it. I'm not here to tell a typical dentist story. I'm here to tell me and my family story. So I can't wait to show you guys more, kind of show you the process of how I'm figuring things out. I may even go live like all day at the dental office, and I'll just press on mute and then I'll talk with you guys. I don't know. I might do a lot of things. And this is where it gets exciting for me, is before I die, before this is all over, before I'm done, I'm going to have a good time with this one. This one could be the last. Now, I always say that, so don't be surprised if I buy a second and a third and a fourth. But for right now, this could potentially be the last kind of business in dentistry that I ever build. But while I'm doing it, I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to enjoy working with the people that I work with because I'm more stable in my life. I don't have to think of these things as a rush. I don't have to be afraid of paying the bills. I'm not afraid of any of this stuff anymore. Like, it's just part of business. You do good, honest work and you get paid. That's how it is. I don't care if it's a burger joint. I don't care if it's a pharmacy, chiropractic clinic, a barbershop. Shout out to Cutting Edge Barbers. They're always lining me up. But, you really need to think about storytelling. That's the key. And that's what I enjoy. So you're going to see a lot more stories coming, different parts of my life, whether it's the gym, investing, just generally talking about what I'm paying attention to. And of course, Image Dental YYC. Check it out. Here we go.